Hello, fellow true crimers. It is Crime with Ashley here, and I am back with another case. So this one was actually covered by Crime Watch Daily, and that's where I got it. And before I get into the case, I have a couple of things that I need to say, like I always do, because I always need to talk. First off, again, my studio is still kind of in a working progress. I kind of got everything the way I wanted. Before anybody asks, this is actually like an enclosed back porch area, and that's boarded up because it's to the outside, and I don't want anybody to break in my house. And it looks ratchet right now, old word, but it looks bad right now because of the paint. Yeah, I don't know if I'm ever gonna fix that. Um, Thank you so much for tuning in. And besides the whole pain announcement, and sorry for the watermark across the top of the screen, I really don't have much else to say. I think I really fixed my lighting. I went to the store and I got a lamp, an LED lamp that is really bright and it's really helping me out right now. So I hope that everybody likes this a little bit better, and I'd love to know what everybody thinks. Also, I don't know what's going on with my comments, but my comments have been really weird. I see you commenting, but it's not letting me go and actually see the comments. Like, somebody named Edward Parta recommended some um links for me to look at, and it wouldn't let me click on them until today. But then two other people commented named Scarlett D, and Scarlett. Both of you ladies commented, and it didn't show up on the video. But I saw you comment, but it didn't show up on the video, and I'm not sure why. So I wanted to say, I see, I know, I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on. Keep commenting because I see, but I'm trying my best to respond, but I'm responding now. Thank you so much for commenting, ladies. Thank you so much, everybody who comments, and I really appreciate it. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get into the case. And it is about 23-year-old Shanda Turner, who passed on July 13th, 2000. She was born in 1977, and it was first ruled as a homicide, but then later on it was ruled by the coroner as a suicide. But obviously, I wouldn't be here if I thought it was a suicide. I agree with the family and a lot of other people that have investigated this case, and I think that it is a homicide, and we have a person of interest, aka a suspect, to investigate together. So we're gonna go ahead and get into that today. But getting into a little details about our victim, Chanda Turner, because you know I like doing that and I like to put that in there. She was born May 4th, 1977. I don't think I've said that yet, but she was born May 4th, 1977, and passed away July 13th, 2000. So she was 23 years old, and she's actually the same age as me, which is kind of what made me interested in this case. Super, super beautiful. Oh my God, blonde hair, beautiful eyes, just every girl's dream to look at, to be honest with you. And also, everybody described her though as super funny, which I think is awesome. She was always making people laugh, always joking. Her parents said she always had something great to say. She's very vivacious, just a light in the room, and she is very missed, very, very missed. I don't know why that was so hard for me to get out, but she was just very missed. And saying this, it always makes me be like, yeah, everybody describes them as being, the light in the room. And to these people, they are the light in the room, and her parents were saying that it's gone now, and it just makes me really sad for them. Now, getting into the person of interest, and it was her on again, off again boyfriend, whom was described as very abusive, very controlling. His name was Robert Tucker. And there was a story told by her parents where he would go to her job and sit outside and wait for her to get off. And it was just red flags like that, made her be like, okay, maybe I really shouldn't be with this guy anymore. But the relationship ended in a way that nobody thought it would. So on July 13th, around the nighttime, I believe, there was a 911 call placed. I don't know why I always mess up 911. Anyway, there was a 911 call placed by a random woman. She hasn't been named. I looked. I don't know who she is. She just randomly placed this call. I guess she was told. But she placed this call and was said that there was a woman who had been gunned down. She had said gunned down, and that the woman's name was Shanda, and she didn't know anything more than that. But the kicker is the investigators and police were not the first people on the scene. By the time that police got there or anybody got there that was of authority, his father, Robert Tucker's father, David Tucker, was there. And here is the story that was given to everybody by Robbie and his dad. So Robbie says that he came home and he found Shanda laying on the back porch with a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the chest. And the investigators, when they first got there, it was said that they treated it like a homicide because there was a huge pool of blood on the floor. And also, Shanda had bruises all over her body, and she had one right here on her knuckles. Like her parents think maybe she hit somebody, but investigators said that it was from a gun because they tested her right hand and there was gunshot residue on her hand. And 3 hours after the initial investigation began, a coroner ruled it as a suicide. And she was at some sort of funeral home against her family's wishes because they were treating it like a homicide. And her mother got there and was like, "Who told you to bring her here? Nobody told you to bring her here because I don't want her here." And she ended up taking pictures on her own phone of her daughter's body, and she had bruises on her shoulder, on her arms. She had the one on her hand, like I said, that looked like she'd been punched, and it looked like she'd been in an altercation with somebody. And the thing about suicide that kind of irritates everybody, and I didn't say this on purpose when I was describing Shanda, is because at the time that this happened, she was actually working in a law office in the Sprouse Law Office in Pauls Valley, and she was actually about to leave for paralegal school. She had plans for her life. People that are suicidal don't make those kinds of plans, and they don't, look forward to these events in their life. So I don't think that she would have killed herself. And also, most people, most women, okay, we're not even going to get into it, but most women don't shoot themselves, okay? It's usually sleeping pills, it's usually something, like that. Or maybe slit to the wrist, bathtub. It's very rare that it's a gunshot wound to the chest when it's a woman. And the fact that Robert had, and I keep saying Robert and Robbie, I'm going to switch back and forth because Robbie is my fiance's name and this dude's name is Robert and they also called him Robbie. So, but with his background in his controlling nature with her, showing up at her job, being abusive, and her trying to leave him before, it it does show a motive. And the fact that his father got there before anybody else, you know that the first people he called was not police when he found the body, if that's the truth, if he found her by himself. Because that's his story, is that he found her by himself and he called his father after he called investigators. But come on now. I know his dad was probably going fast, but I don't think he was going that fast to beat investigators. But thankfully, the evidence that I had mentioned, and it was recent, I said in the last few years, I'm going to kind of retract that. It wasn't in the last few years, it kind of was. It was a few months after her death had happened, so still in 2001, when that mysterious envelope of evidence was dropped off to her parents. And they came up with a plan. When they buried their daughter, they put her in an enclosed crypt at the top of the highest mountain in the highest mountain graveyard they could find. Like, they looked for a graveyard that had mountains and they found a spot at the top of it and put an enclosed crypt up there with their daughter in it because they knew they were going to be back, they said, to exhume her body because this was not a suicide. This was clearly a homicide. But if you thought that was the end to Robbie's suspectness, you know how I said it was really weird that his dad was at the scene of the crime before investigators? Well, there was a reason for that in a way. It was because as soon as he found Shanna's body, okay, because this happened during the night, like I said, this happened at night, and he found her body in the morning time, and he came upon it. There's a pool of blood in the back porch, so he didn't hear her shooter. He didn't hear the gun, first of all. Second of all, he drove to his dad's house. So instead of driving to get help, or instead of driving to the quickest place that you can get to a phone, because that was the excuse, he had no phone. That's why he didn't get to call investigators first, as it comes out later. That's why he couldn't call them first. That he had to show up to his dad's house, who has a phone, and his dad just tagged along. And that's why his dad was there. But in the 911 call, the woman that called was just told to call 911. They were already gone. Like, he didn't even make the 911 call. A woman made the 911 call. So real quick to go back through everything that we talked about. Um, so Shanda was killed from a gunshot wound to the chest. Robbie was asleep in the house with another guest named Heather. So there was two people in the house. Neither one of them heard a gunshot wound. Robbie was the one who found her body. Heather was woken up by police when they finally showed up. David and his father, who were there already for a whole hour, while David's wife called police, did not wake Heather up. So there's that. Also, um, the stepmom, Sandra Tucker, is the one who called 911, and the police treated the investigation as a homicide originally, and it ended up being a suicide. Okay, so that is pretty much it for this case. It is technically unsolved because she is still considered to be a suicide victim. The case is still not solved. There hasn't been any arrests. Um, so that's really horrible. Yeah, that is pretty much it, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'm so sorry that it was short, but it hasn't been covered a lot. There was only a little bit on it, and I did my best to find what I could to give to you, even though it was a little bit scattered around. So this has been Crime with Ashley. Thank you so much for watching. I love all 69 of you. Bye bye.